The additional child tax credit is another example of a refundable credit. Like the earned income credit, it is not available to all taxpayers in all circumstances, but it occurs often enough that it is definitely a tax subject you will need to understand. In this session, we will discuss who is eligible to claim it and how it is claimed. When we discussed the child tax credit, we explained how it is phased out for taxpayers with incomes over a certain limit. We also explained that for certain taxpayers, part of that lost credit can be recovered in the form of an additional child tax credit. Because it is fully refundable, unlike the basic version of the child tax credit, the additional child tax credit results in a cash refund to eligible taxpayers, even when their tax liability is already zero. The actual amount of the credit depends on a taxpayer's earned income and the amount of FICA taxes paid, and is reduced by the amount of any non-refundable child tax credit already awarded. Form 8812, Additional Child Tax Credit, is used to determine the credit's total amount. Earned income is generally defined the same as it is for the earned income credit, except that non-taxable combat pay excluded from gross income is always included in earned income when calculating the additional child tax credit. The reason for this is that adding non-taxable combat pay to earned income will always increase the additional child tax credit, whereas adding it for EIC will sometimes increase the credit and sometimes decrease the credit. Who is a qualifying child? For the additional child tax credit, the rules for determining a qualifying child are the same as those for the basic child tax credit discussed previously. How is the additional child tax credit calculated? The first task is to calculate the taxpayer's child tax credit before claiming the additional child tax credit. Since the additional child tax credit is reduced by the amount of any regular child tax credit already claimed. Taxpayers must use Form 8812 to determine the amount of their additional child tax credit and answer yes to the required questions at the beginning of Form 8812. Taxpayers must complete and attach Form 8812 to claim the additional child tax credit. A taxpayer is also entitled to certain refundable credits because of uncommon situations that occur. This could include tax payments made by investment companies on behalf of the taxpayer, because of certain fuels that are used, or because of certain pension benefits. These situations require Form 2439, Notice to Shareholders of Undistributed Long-Term Capital Gains, Form 4136, Credit for Federal Tax Paid on Fuels, or Form 8885, Health Coverage Tax Credit. They occur so rarely that we won't cover them here. There is a discussion in your book about a relatively new refundable credit called the Refundable Credit for Prior Year Minimum Tax. Since only 3% of all taxpayers pay AMT, and this credit only applies to a fraction of those, this discussion is covered in your book. Having calculated the various forms of income, deductions, exemptions, and credits, you are now ready to complete the return and submit it. We'll save that discussion for the next session.